What is up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new video on Lex Alexas. Today we are going to do our Premier League predictions, a brand new series that I am doing on Lex Alexas. That's going to get me involved talking about my Premier League team Chelsea a little bit more, but also should diversify the content a little bit. And you guys have requested for a Premier League prediction league, and that is what you are getting. So we've got two prediction leagues and two prizes up for grabs. The winner of the prediction league for the championship will get a prize, and the winner for the Premier League prediction league will also get a prize. Same procedures as normal. Simply comment your score predictions and I'll save them and calculate them to form a league table. Also, guys, what I will say, if you do want to change your predictions, let's say you wanted to change one of your predictions halfway through when the games are taking place, the best thing to do it is to reply to your original predictions. Don't try and edit them out. It just makes things more difficult for me. So if you do want to make changes to your predictions, either delete the comments entirely if you want to do the whole thing again, or if you want to change like a couple of score lines, simply, actually reply to the original comment just before those games kick off, and that would be perfectly fine by me. So enough of that stuff being said there. I'm excited for the Premier League returning later today when Crystal Palace play Arsenal. If you guys like what you see, please give the video a like and just tremendously help the channel. Please do hit the subscribe button. It really does help the growth of this channel. And please also share the channel too. All of that really helps. But without any further ado, let's start talking about this weekend's games in the Premier League. So, as I just mentioned, the first game of the Premier League season is Crystal Palace versus Arsenal. Now, this, I don't think will be an easy game for Arsenal. Crystal Palace beat Arsenal 3-0 at Selhurst last year. It was a very, very competitive game, actually, between the two. But it was around that time where Arsenal were really struggling with this consistency. I remember, actually, that they had a good form. And then suddenly Palace turn up, and then Arsenal, go through this, win this run again. Arsenal always have a nagging problem for me with inconsistency. I know they got a little bit more optimism with the players they got in. Jesus could be one of those players that can lift Arsenal's attacking threat another level there. But with Palace, in terms of their home record, it's very, very good. I think with Vieira, I think they've got a very organised system in place. As a prediction, I can't really edge the teams. I was thinking 2-1 Arsenal, but I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. We've seen Arsenal open on the opening day before and lose out to newly promoted Brentford. I don't think they'll lose in this first game, but it won't be an easy one. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Next game to predict is Fulham versus Liverpool. Now, Fulham definitely would not be happy to see that they've got to play Liverpool first. And Fulham is with the first newly promoted side that we'll be talking about. Fulham have made some signings which I think can definitely lift the squad in an attacking sense with Palhinha and Pereira in the attacking midfielder positions there. Solomon, I think, is a decent signing that they've added in as well. What Fulham have done, in their previous Premier League seasons, in their first time, they, in recent history, they spent over 100 million and ultimately they couldn't gel enough. Then for the second time, they just were very, very inconsistent, and I think we're still having an upcoming manager of Scott Parker. Now they've got a definite Premier League proven manager in Marco Silva. I do think all the essentials are there for Fulham to try and survive, but they should probably write this game up against Liverpool, where Liverpool themselves, yes, they've had a bit of a dodgy pre-season, but they did win the Community Shield very recently over Manchester City, a 3-1 victory to Liverpool. And I do think Liverpool will be able to ride out victorious on the opening day, just based on their organisation, but also how deadly clinical their attacking players are. I'm going to go 2-0 away to Liverpool. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Bournemouth versus Aston Villa. Now, Bournemouth and Aston Villa in recent history, they've been really, really tight games. I remember when Aston Villa had to play against Bournemouth, I think it was either their first or their second game of when they were promoted from the Championship, returning to the Premier League. And Bournemouth edged out as narrow victors in that game. It was definitely a moment where I think Aston Villa by that time felt they had a tough season, but they naturally survived. Bournemouth, oddly enough, are now going to feel in that similar position, having some time out of the Premier League. And Aston Villa now starting to establish themselves as a Premier League club as well. Bournemouth, I think, for me, are light in certain quality areas for me to really compete properly in this league. So I do think they could fall short with this Aston Villa side. What I really like about them, which I've mentioned previously, the signings they made are not only great quality, they've made them early, and by now they definitely should have gelled in. And I have a feeling that Aston Villa will edge out in this game. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory to Aston Villa. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Leeds versus Wolves. Now, this is intriguing. Leeds obviously have made quite a load of transfers they needed to, because they've lost their two best players in Rafinha and Calvin Phillips, which I think could initially make them struggle. We're going to have to see if their new signings are going to hit the ground running straight away. Wolves have not made nearly as much business as Leeds have done, but they've definitely not lost, the quality of players that they have done as well. Wolves have almost gone in an exact carbon copy as they were last season. But with that being the case, Wolves near the end of last season had some really poor form, and they wouldn't want to try and turn that around, especially, with the start of the Premier League season. If they start slow, it's going to be a very long season for Wolves. As a prediction, I don't feel for me there's actually going to be many goals in this game. I'm tempted to sit on the fence, but I might edge Wolves, actually. I think Wolves are going to be very heavily defensive. Leeds will have more chances and look the stronger team going forward, but then Wolves might hit them on a set piece or counter-attack, and they'll defend for their lives, because Wolves are a nightmare to try and take points off from losing positions. So I'm going to go 1-0 away to Wolves. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. What a returning game for Nottingham Forest. They are away to rejuvenating Newcastle. This is Nottingham Forest's first official Premier League game in the 21st century, which is unbelievable for me to even have that in the same sentence. I'm actually going to see Nottingham Forest as a Premier League team in my history. It's not really sunk in that Nottingham Forest have been out for the Premier League this long, but now they've achieved it, and they've got a really, really good chance to even progress in it and establish themselves. However, Newcastle, I think, will be interesting this season. I think they'll be a great team this season as well. Botman, I think one of the signings they made is really, really good as well. And in general, I know that they could have made more business, but at the moment, I think they've been a bit wise actually with their spending. They didn't want to improve the squad too much. They didn't need a big overhaul. And actually, statistically, Newcastle were right up there in the top 4 in terms of picking up points, especially in the second half of the season. And if Newcastle continue that way, despite Nottingham Forest getting there, it might just go to them. But Steve Cooper, I have a feeling, will set up very defence-minded, and maybe that may frustrate Newcastle because they don't score many goals. As a prediction, I'm actually going to go for a 0-0 draw in this one. It might feel like a bit of a damp squib on the scoreline, but I think Nottingham Forest will want to get up and running, and what better way to do it by getting a point in the opening day of the season. So I'll go for 0-0. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Spurs versus Southampton. For me, Spurs have really improved their squad over the transfer window, and I do think they are heavy favourites for being the best of the rest. When you exclude Manchester City and Liverpool, they've got the right manager, I think they've got the right system, and they've got the momentum as well, because I think their form at the end of the season when Conte was around, I know he had a sticky start, but as soon as he started to get his transfers in and they started to gel in his system, things did start to click. And, I think Spurs have really got to attack the season now, because the thing is about Conte, teams don't really last too long playing under his system. They eventually get tired of it. And Spurs, I think, will definitely get one good season to go, but next year it could be quite difficult for them. Southampton have mildly improved their squad. Bazunu and Ariba are good signings for me. But having said that, I think Spurs are going to be more prepared on a day. As a prediction, I'm going to go 3-0 to Spurs. Let me know what you think in the comments. Next game to predict is Everton versus Chelsea. Now, we have a dreadful record against Everton, so I'm not excited for this, especially with Frank Lampard as well. He's definitely going to want to beat us again like he did last year, which ultimately was a big part of Everton staying in the Premier League in the end of it as well. And it also seems that behind closed doors, things are not exactly going both teams' way at the moment. Everton has got some problems with, the lack of transfers and especially the injury problems they got with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And similarly with Chelsea, the frustration of not getting too many players in and the amount of players that actually want to leave, it is causing some problems. So both teams are having their own problems. It is live on Sky Sports, which I may watch in my own time. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I don't think Chelsea will beat Everton. I think that we're just cursed against Everton. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Made it to Sunday's game. So next game is Leicester versus Brentford. This is interesting. Leicester obviously just recently lost Kasper Schmeichel to Nice. Are they now going to stick with Daniel Iversen in goal? That's going to make things very, very interesting. Brentford have also really improved their squad as well and got some great players in Hickey and Lewis Potter being two great signings there. And as a whole, Brentford have not really necessarily been the most consistent team, but when they're on it, I actually think they are tactically very versatile, and I think Thomas Frank is a severely underrated manager for that. He's been able to change systems in the past to, help his teams, improve their form there. So I do think Thomas Frank will have plenty of rolls on the dice if things don't necessarily click on the first day of the season. And as a prediction, I think with Leicester being at home, I think they're very, very strong at home. I'm going to edge them for a 2-1 victory over Brentford. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Next game is Manchester United versus Brighton. Now, with Manchester United, things are very, very frustrating for them right now. They definitely wanted more transfers from what they, have currently got right now, including getting the centre defensive midfielder in. The De Jong saga has really made things complicated, and at that rate, he could potentially join Chelsea as well, because we've now entered the race for him. So this whole scenario of not being able to get him, has been a really big problem, and because of that, I feel like they're not really that prepared. Brighton as well gave them a really bad game last time they played against them as well. So Manchester United will be hoping for revenge. Brighton had a really good season last year, finishing in the top half of the table. And they didn't make too many transfers this year, but I still think they'll kick on. And as a prediction, I'm actually going to go for a slow start for United. Not a defeat, but I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between Man United and Brighton. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And the final game to predict, guys, is West Ham versus Manchester City. This game last year was an absolute cracker. It was a 2-2 draw, and West Ham were 2-0 up in this game as well, and we're really giving Liverpool a very brief chance of them potentially trying to overtake Manchester City to win the Premier League. But Manchester City fought back from 2 goals down, and had Riyad Mahrez scored his penalty, they could have even took all 3 points despite being 2-0 down in the second half. So Manchester City have always got this unquestionable character, and they managed to respond very, very well if things don't go their way. And I think they'll continue to be that this season. I think their resilience is a big part of it. I know a lot of people predicted Liverpool to win, but I still think the depth gives edge and to Manchester City. Honestly, I do slightly edge them still, and I think it will show in this game as well. I think West Ham have got some good players that they're currently linked to. They've not signed all the players they're linked to it, but if they do, I think West Ham are just constantly improving their squads, and I gotta say, it's very, very nice to see West Ham, competing at this level, and I do think they'll be in or around, that top par on the table, and could potentially even sneak in once again to top 6. So as a prediction, I still think, no, this is a tough game for West Ham. They could shock everyone, and wouldn't be surprised if they did. I'm going to go for a 3-1 away victory to Manchester City. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. So guys, these are my official Week 1 predictions of the Premier League. If you want to see Premier League predictions weekly, let me know in the comments down below. Obviously, to enter the Predictions League, guys, you've got to enter your predictions in the comments down below. It's just as easy as that and completely free to play. If you guys enjoyed the video, please give the video a like. It just tremendously help the channel. Please do hit the subscribe button if you're not, it does really help as well. And please also share the channel too, that also really helps as well. Also, quick FYI, don't know if you saw my community tab today. I am not going to be streaming this weekend. I've been fighting an illness throughout this week, and it's really difficult for me to talk for more than 2 minutes straight. So right now, I'm going to take a small break from streaming, and hopefully I'll feel 100% and we'll be able to talk more football. But that's all I need to say today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, guys. And legendary, it's on the end of this video. As always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.